And also, I'd like to thanks for this platform, this symposium, so that I have this a chance to share our recent series of the work. Okay, today you can see the share screen, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. The topic is for the Hypergame framework for the equilibria, stability, and robustness in the moving target defense problem. Now we consider also with the player's symmetric conditions. Here is my mailbox. So if anyone, any audience online or in the future have some interest in my series of work, you can feel free to drop me an email. Okay, I will follow these 4 steps to give my presentation. The first one is a motivation. That includes the background of MTD problems, that game strategic models, and also some technique and tools in this work. And then here follows 2 very significant case. The first one is for the single leader, multiple follower games, and the next one is for the Bayesian Stackelberg game. And last, it is a summary. Okay, let's move into the first part with the background. The first one is the moving target defense problem. As we know, for the orientation, MTD and the techniques that seek to enhance the system resilience by making it more dynamic, more redundant, and more diverse. Here you can see in the right figure, it just figure out that the MTD domains laid out against the computer stack. For example, as for the data, for the platform and network, it is what we are familiar with. So as for the applications, MTD actually can be deployed over many major desktop and mobile operating systems, like our many very familiar Windows, Linux, Android, iOS, and so on. So for such an important issue, we like to deal it from the strategical paradigm. Then we consider 2 parties in this problem. One is the defender, and another party named as attacker. So both of these players are involved in the leader-follower system. Usually, the leader role is for the defender, and the attacker is always a follower who can make decision making after observing the defender's behavior or the strategy or actions and so on. So next, the topic in this presentation is for the combination. As we know, players or the people, human beings, may not always hold the symmetric conditions among the groups. So now we consider the symmetric condition. This phenomenon may be caused by the hierarchical structures, or maybe because of the different sequence of the decision making, and also for the different perception patterns, like the sensors equipped on the robotics. And I'd like to give categories from my opinion for the different condition of the symmetric condition. The first one can be regarded as the misperception. That is kind of a deterministic difference. That means here is one true configuration of the problem. However, some of the players may misperceive this knowledge, and now it obtains a deterministic certain one with this configuration. That's named as the misperception. And the second one is from the incomplete information, that is from the player's uncertain preference. This is quite different from the first one. Similarly, some of the player may still misperceived the knowledge of the configuration, but now it may no longer hold an deterministic configuration or some parameter. Instead, these misperceived players may hold an uncertainty for its preference for its types. So maybe it can use a region or use a distribution to describe such incomplete information for the asymmetric condition. And the next, which is a more complicated information condition, maybe the initiative behaviors. it may be usually deployed by the leader, like the deception or the misleading behavior. And this part is quite complex than the formal toolkits. So it is our interesting work in the future. And among all this significance, I'd like to say we need to check out what is cognitive stability. Briefly speaking, the players either cannot realize the symmetric condition, or when they are aware of the asymmetric condition, they won't change their strategies due to this phenomenon. So that's named the cognitive stability. And with the help of the previous two concepts, we can go to define what is the equilibrium stability and robustness in this situation. First, here we need this strong Stackelberg equilibria in the leader-follower scheme. It is well known and also well studied in the many years. And originally, if we want to detect the stability of an equilibrium, we only need to study the strategic stability. That means when the players achieve some equilibria, that means no one want to change his decision-making or strategy unilaterally to get more, to obtain more profits. However, now we not only get the strategy and the decision-making, but also get the asymmetric condition. So we need to consider both the strategic and cognitive stability in this situation. And in this way, we need to consider the robustness of an equilibrium and decision-making. That means players' decision-making should be against the perturbed observation regarding the rival's cognition. So from such a very kind of complicated and very challenging task, we propose to use the famous Hypergame framework to deal with such a problem. Hypergame is a technique to investigate the interactions among players and also the cognitions in the game strategy models by decomposing it into several subject subgames. That is its main idea within the Hypergame. Okay, now with above preparation, we can begin our first parts, the single leader, multiple follower game. First, I'll show the formulation. In the security game G, we have some leader. We have the one leader L with the strategy set omega L and the utility function UL. And here we get n followers, and for each follower I, it has strategy sets and also the utility function. And all the players now aim to maximize its utility function. And focus on this moving target defense problem, we must have some target to operate for each of the players. The first one is the target set T. That we say over this T, and we can define the player strategy variables and their sets. They kind of symbolic constraints for the resource allocation. And also for this MTD task, we can define the utility functions for the defender and the attacker just from the profit and the cost, and also do the sum over all the targets. Here from this simple illustration, you can see that here is a defender and many attackers. All the players need to deploy their resource to protect or to do some malicious things over all these targets, respectively. Okay, now it's time to introduce what is misperception in this model. Here, let's just imagine a true configuration of the theta of the parameter theta 0. So from the followers, that is attackers' viewpoint, now it's they just misperceived this condition with this here is a parameter theta prime, which doesn't equal to theta 0. So the current game is no longer under the only the theta 0, but also contains this both theta 0 and theta prime. And for the leader's utility, it still maintains the same as before. And the follower's utility now should consider both of these different configurations, theta and theta prime. And I'd like to see that the leaders believe that the followers' true utility should be under this true configuration theta zero. Because that is the truth of this problem. But because of the misperception of the followers, in its viewpoints, itself play with this utility UI under this misperceived theta prime. And that is difference from these two utility formulation, although both of these utility are belonging to the follower. And here we need some assumptions. For the first one, given the targets, the utility of each of the leader should satisfy this relation. And also given a fixed theta prime and given targets and given one leader I, follower I, then the follower's utility should satisfy this relation. These two assumptions just make the decision making of the players meaningful, because for the leader, unite utility for defending a target should be larger than no defending, and similarly for the follower, for the attacker, the unite utility for attacking the target should be larger than no attacking. So this assumption makes sense. And here we can move to define the first definition for the misperception SSE. Here we need to employ the best response function, and without loss of generality, we suppose the followers can break ties optimally in case of multiple best response. So when the players achieve this MSSE, that means the strategic stability of this Stackelberg equilibrium scheme. And now it's time to use the Hypergame to reformulate this model. We just show the first level Hypergame. We began with this first level one. What is the first level Hypergame? Give a briefly definition. It is said that no one is aware of the condition that theta prime doesn't equal to theta zero. We can see from this figure. Given one first level Hypergame, capital curly H1. So for the leader's perspective, the leader thinks all the players play with this game G under this parameter theta zero. That is the true configuration of the problem. And for all the followers, they believe that now the problem is conducted over the theta prime, not the theta zero anymore. Of course, the followers cannot get the true configuration theta zero. And with the help of the first level Hypergame, we can now define the second level one. In the second level Hypergame, the leader now assume to know the asymmetric condition, but the followers don't. Still see this figure below. Here, second level Hypergame contains many first level Hypergame, and in the leader's first level Hypergame itself now play with this theta zero, and it also know that all the followers play with the theta prime. And in the followers first level Hypergame, the follower believes all the players, including the leader and all the followers, play with the theta prime. There is no more theta zeros information. So this second level Hypergame contains two class of the first level Hypergame, and each of the first level Hypergame contains their subjective subgames. And we can now define the Hyper Nash equilibria in this Hypergame framework. In this definition, you can see that what is Hypergame Nash equilibria? That is when both of the players' strategy is correspond to the argmax solution given each player's own configuration. That is, the leaders correspond to the seed 0, and the follower i's corresponding to the seed prime. So it is not hard to find that when the player achieves this HNE, then it means the cognitive stability. That is, players have no awareness of cognition asymmetry. Okay, now we can move into the equilibrium stability study. Before investigate the stability, we need to guarantee the equilibrium existence. So these two lemmas just show the existence of both MSSE and HNE. These two lemmas, the proof of these two lemmas are quite easy because they are inspired by the naive existence of SSE and Nash equilibria when there is no symmetric condition. And here is our first theoretical results to reveal that when the MSSE is an HNE strategy. And given the assumption, if the following set is a solution regarding this YMSSE and C prime is not empty, then we say this strategy is also an HNE strategy. And the set is a solution to the linear equations in the below. And when a player's SSE strategy achieves such condition, that means this strategy profile now is both strategic and cognitive stability. I just give two different view to just try to explain these strategical results. The first one is from the followers, that is from the attacker's viewpoints. The attacker cannot figure out their misperceived cognition. It cannot know there is a true configuration seed 0. And from another side, from the leader, that is the defender, right? The defender now is satisfied with his own decision making because it should not matter the follower's cognition. That is the two. That means the both strategic and cognitive stability of this both of the two parties in these players. Here are three typical cases with three queries, and we can see that the first one just gets the results for only one followers. That is degenerative situation, and the second one very interesting. That is for any seed prime, and MSS is always an HNE. If all the followers choose to attack the same target, that is very interesting phenomenon we just discovered in this process. And the third one is if the problem is no misperception and all the players knows the true configuration is the 0, so we need to only check the solution given the YSSE and the C 0. And here is several figures to give an illustration of the theoretical results. Briefly, there are two cases. The first one is a sufficient condition. That is what we get in the theorem 1 for MSSE HNE when the solution is non-empty. And this case is in blue. And this reverse one, the necessary condition is in red. So we can see in these 6 different figures, they are involved with the different target numbers, different follower numbers, and also for each of the behind each figure, we just conduct 100 instance. So all these 6 figures show that the blue line is always 100%. That corresponds to our sufficient condition in theory 1. And for the necessary condition, the red line, it is no less than maybe 85%. So what that means? This just tells us, although the condition we got in the first first theorem, just a sufficient condition. It is quite close to necessary conditions. That means this sufficient condition performs quite well. And here is the next experiment result to show the overlap and to show when it is non-empty for the solution set according to our theorem 1. Here we give some varied seed prime from 0 to 1, and here are 3 different parametric settings for the different parameters alpha. And this red line is for the HNE utility, and the blue line is for the MSSE utility of the leader. So we can see that in the first setting, for all the seed prime from 0 to 1, the solution set is always non-empty. We cannot find the overlap between HNE and MSSE. And in the second setting, only when the seed prime equals to the 0.5 here, we can find a non-empty solution, and otherwise it fails. And in the third case, at very fortunately, we can find many seed primes corresponding to the non-empty solution sets. And the last part of this single leader multiple follower case should be the robustness study. And we need to notice that defenders observation of the attacker's misperception parameter seed prime may be perturbed over the environment, over some errors of bias observed. So here we just define this robust MSSE. That is, if there exists a subset, a delta theta, such that these two utility equals to each other. The first one is conducted over the true configuration seed 0, and the second one corresponding to this seed prime. Then we say that this MSSE strategy is a robust one to this subset seed delta theta. And in this theorem 2, it reveals the robustness of such a definition, and given the assumption and the true configuration is the 0, there always exists such a robust subset with this non-empty interior. And if we fix the follower and fix the targets, if we can find the convectness and ellipse continuity for the utility of the follower, then we may find the upper bound of this subset delta theta, such that this MSSE profile is also a robust one. And I also use 6 figures to illustrate what I like to say in the theorem 2 of the robustness. Here we can find the utilities, the blue bar is utilities of 6 followers with their misperceived cognition seed prime. That this light blue region just describe the robust bounds, upper bounds of the MSSE according to the previous theorem 2. And the light red region actually shows the real bound. So we can see that these 6 followers, for this all the followers, our bound is quite close to the real one. Okay, with the above discussion in the first case, now it's quite easy to move into the next part for the Bayesian Stackelberg game. At first, I like to emphasize why we need to use the Bayesian model. Unlike the aforementioned misperception seed prime, here the follower may not have one certain misperceived cognition seed prime. Instead, the follower may hold some incomplete information, so correspond to the distribution, probability distribution. So we consider such a Bayesian model with one leader and one follower now, and use the Bayesian Stackelberg game to describe such a problem. And also, and still the attacker is the follower and the defender is the leader. For the attacker, now it fails to perceive the exact configuration seed 0. And now it employs sit, variable sit to a subject to distribution P to tackle with its income information, or we said it's uncertainty. And for the defender, it still knows the exact configuration since 0 and can see the symmetric condition and now knows the attacker's perception distribution P. But one thing very important, the leader cannot directly know the attacker's each concrete preference extracts from this distribution P. So this in this model, we can give some detailed information for the gain factors for the strategy set. It's also kind of the simplex constraint to allocate the resource over all the targets. And also for the follower, it holds several types theta from 1 to n, which are extracted subject to the discrete probability distribution P. And here is a similar utility in the MTD problem. And we need to notice that for the attacker's utility, we should define it over each of the types theta here that correspond to the Bayesian Stackelberg game. Here is this two familiar assumptions necessary because these two assumptions make the behavior of the both of the two players meaningful. That is, this first one ensures the defenders can benefit from defending the targets, and the second one indicates that the attacker tend to attack these unprotected targets. That makes sense. And we also employ the best response function and can define this Bayesian strong Stackelberg equilibria BSSE. And this BSSE just characterizes the strategic stability of the Stackelberg equilibria. Okay, now it's the time to reformulate this game with the Hypergame framework. Recall that the defender now knows the exact configuration, and the defender, as the leader, realizes the attacker has some inherent types theta. So we directly use the second level Hypergame that decomposes the game with a symmetric condition into many subjective subgame. We will just use this table to demonstrate. For this Hyper BSG, the defender's viewpoint itself play with this game G under the parameter theta 0. And while in the other side, the attacker now is playing with its variable theta given the distribution P. And since the difference in the attacker's perspective, because the attacker now believes all the both of the players are involved with the same situation, that is with the variable theta and the distribution P. So here is next very important definition for the Hyper Bayesian Nash equilibrium. Compare with the aforementioned HNE without the Bayesian one. Here we need to consider this collection for over all the types according to this distribution P. So when the players achieve this HBNE, that means the cognitive stability, where the players have no awareness of the cognition symmetry. And that's next step is for the equilibrium stability study. And similarly, we need to review the existence of the BSSE and the HBNE. This part is not as easy as the four mentioned the SSE and the NE anymore, MSSE and the HNE anymore. So we have to employ the Hassness transformation. Briefly, we convert the BSG problem into a complete information problem and introduce the player who named the nature one. It acts first and determines the type at first with the proper distribution P. So this theorem can still get the condition when the BSSE is an HBNE strategy. And the condition is to find the solution of these linear equations. And when the players BSSC strategy achieves such a condition, that means both strategy and cognitive stability, and these conditions are similar with previous property. And here, very interesting, I like to show two typical case. In the quality 4, we consider a uniform distribution. So in this case, it is same as the similar one in the single leader multiple followers condition. Because we can consider the followers several types as the certain deterministic multiple individual players. So you can see that they have the interaction and some relations between the two models. And in the quality 5, with the 1-point distribution, because there is only one certain type, and we do not need Bayesian anymore. And this problem turned to the deterministic single leader, single follower game. So this corollary is also the same as the previous corollary 1. And we can use these two corollaries to establish the bridge between the Bayesian model and the misperception model. Okay, here is the experiment result to give some illustration. Still, the blue line is for the sufficient case in our theorem 3, and the red line is for the necessary condition as the reverse. And with different target amount and the different type amount, we can find our condition for the sufficient one is always 100% in blue. And the red line here is no less than 60%. Okay, the last part is for the robustness of this kind of equilibria in Bayesian model. Now, the perturbed one may not be the misperception set prime as the misperceived model. Here, the perturbed, because the defender's observation is the attacker's distribution P, right? So the perturbed observation may be this P prime. Here in this table, you can see this perturbed Hyper BSG model. The only difference between this and the previous Hyper BSG model is stuck in this part. Here, the attacker, although the defender knows the attacker is no longer knows the stated error, but now the defender cannot get the exact observation of P. Instead, the defender's observation is perturbed by this P prime. And now it's our task to figure out whether the defender strategy within the HBNE part is robust to the perturbed distribution P prime. So the following definition just give a technique description of such a phenomenon. That is, we need to find this Y star given the perturbed distribution P prime, such that this HBNE strategy X star is also the satisfy this arithmetic function given the perturbed distribution P prime. And the last theorem reveals the robustness of the HBNE. And given the assumption and given the perturbed distribution P prime, there always exists a positive constant epsilon. This epsilon is determined by the player's utility. If the distance between these two different distribution P and P prime is less than epsilon, then we said the X star is also a robust HBNE strategy. Here is two interesting explanations for these results. The first one for the from the viewpoint of the attacker. When the P prime, distribution P prime is close to the P, then this attacker cannot realize defender's perturbed observation. That means it will trust its own combination of the game and continue to make a decision. And from the other side, in the defender's viewpoint, now when it observes the distribution of the attacker's type, that means the distribution P, we say that a small bias is usually allowed because it doesn't influence the defender decision making according to this robustness result. Okay, these two colorful equilibrium results is illustration for the last theoretical one. Here, any point, any colorful point is extracted from the distribution P over the three different types. And we say that if a point has a neighborhood with the same color, that means this point corresponds to one HBNE that is also a robust one. And it's very easy to find that in the first setting, we can get more robust HBNE than the second one because there involves less colors than the second one. Okay, I think that's all the content, and I'd like to give the summary. In this presentation, I show the both strategic and cognitive stability of the equilibria. In the first case, I did a single leader, multiple follower games for the MTD problem. And also, I studied the equilibria robustness in this case for the MTD problem. And in another case, that is a Bayesian Stackelberg games in moving target defense, we still consider to establish the stability of the equilibria and also robustness of the equilibria. So in the future, as I just mentioned in the motivation parts, it is very interesting to study the deception or the misleading behavior by the defenders initiative. Of course, we can imagine that it must be complicated than these two cases in this presentation. At last, I'd like to give my big thanks to all the co-authors and partners. The first one is Professor Carl-Henry Yuansen from KTH, and next one is Professor Yi Guanhong from Tongji University, and also for Dr. Zhaoyang Chen from KTH and Master Henzheng Zhang from Tongji University. Okay, that's all. Thank you.